For 7 long years, the Midianites would storm in at harvest time and take everything, their crops, their animals, everything. A winepress is basically a pit, so he was down there, hidden from sight, trying to save a little bit of grain for his family. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared right there with him. The angel greeted him with words that must have sounded crazy to Gideon. Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about? He was basically saying, if God is so great, why is our life so terrible? It's a question we've all asked at some point, right? Gideon was still full of doubt. God's response was simple and powerful. I will be with you. Still, Gideon needed proof. He was about to take on the entire Midianite army after all, so he asked for a sign. He prepared a meal and brought it to the angel. The angel told him to place the meat and bread on a rock. Then the angel touched the food with the tip of his staff, and poof, fire flared up from the rock and consumed the offering. And just like that, the angel disappeared. Now Gideon knew this was real. He built an altar there and called it, "The Lord is Peace." But Gideon's faith was still a bit wobbly. God told him to gather an army, and a massive force of 32,000 men showed up, ready to fight. You'd think Gideon would be thrilled, right? Finally, they have a chance. But God had a different plan. He told Gideon, "You have too many men." God wanted to make it absolutely clear that this victory would be his, not man's. He said, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues, as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink." So Gideon watched. Most of the men knelt down, putting their faces in the water to drink. But a small group, just 300 men, scooped up the water in their hands and lapped it like a dog, staying alert and ready. God said to Gideon, "With the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home." And just like that, his army of 32,000 was reduced to a tiny band of 300. 300 men against an army so vast, it was like sand on the seashore. This was impossible. Humanly speaking, it was a suicide mission. But this was God's plan. God knew Gideon was still afraid. So that night, he told Gideon to sneak down to the enemy camp with his servant. As they got close, they overheard two Midianite soldiers talking. One was telling the other about a strange dream he had. He dreamt that a loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp and struck a tent with such force that the tent collapsed. His friend immediately knew the meaning. "This can be nothing other than the sword of Gideon," he exclaimed. "God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hands." When Gideon heard this, his fear vanished. He bowed down and worshipped God. The enemy was already terrified. God had gone before him and prepared the way. Gideon rushed back to his 300 men, filled with new confidence. "Get up," he cried. "The Lord has given the Midianite camp into your hands." He then gave them their bizarre weapons. He divided the 300 men into 3 companies and gave each man a trumpet, an empty clay jar, and a torch to put inside the jar. No swords, no shields, no spears. Just trumpets, jars, and torches. Can you picture it? It sounds more like a marching band than an army. Gideon gave them their instructions. "Watch me," he said. "Follow my lead. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp, you blow yours and shout, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" So, under the cover of darkness, Gideon's 3 little companies surrounded the massive Midianite camp. It was the middle of the night, just after the changing of the guard. The enemy was sleepy and unsuspecting. On Gideon's signal, all at once, 300 men smashed their clay jars. The sound was deafening, like an army breaking through a wall. Then you hear a mighty shout from every direction. "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." Gideon, a man who started out hiding in a wine press, had become the leader who liberated his people. He learned a powerful lesson that day. It's not about the size of your army, the strength of your weapons, or your own abilities. It's about the size of your God. God took one scared man and 300 soldiers with unconventional weapons and defeated an entire nation. So what does this story mean for us today? It shows us that God often chooses the small, the weak, and the unlikely things of this world to accomplish his greatest victories. Maybe you feel small sometimes. Maybe you feel like you don't have what it takes to face the giants in your life. You look at your resources, your talents, your strength, and you think, it's not enough. Gideon's story is a reminder that with God, you are enough. He doesn't need your strength. He needs your trust. He doesn't need your grand plans. He needs your obedience. Just like a child with a small flashlight can push back a huge dark room, God can use your small faith to do big things. When you feel overwhelmed and inadequate, remember Gideon. Remember that the battle belongs to the Lord. Trust his crazy plan, even when it doesn't make sense. Because with him, the victory is already won. Thanks so much for watching with me today. If this story encouraged you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. Sleep well, and remember that even in the dark, a little light makes all the difference.